And then there's you, and like your pens match the outfit you're wearing. Like that's how
my pens.
That's how hard you go.
Yeah. That's because I dress for work while you just roll up.
I just show up. They found me.
Oh man. Well, straight away we know that for the first game, Union Gaming won it. Now our analysts think differently as to who's going to win this map. Derry decided to go all controversial and say that MercenarieZ were going to win Clubhouse.
Yeah. And I guess it's one of those things where we'll see what happens, because obviously there was a couple of rounds where somebody disconnected, and that has led to, well, a couple of moments where things haven't quite gone the same way they have. And I guess it's going to be the question of, A, you hope that doesn't keep happening, and B, if it doesn't, can they find a win? Can they find their first map on the board? Can they find themselves back on level pegging? Or will they find themselves at the end of this having to play the reverse sweep as they did once upon a time? Well, Maya and Mira goes as called and predicted by those nerds on the analyst desk, joined by the Monty and the Thatcher.
I think this is going to be a daunting game here for MercenarieZ, given that when we look back on the South Asia Nationals, Union Gaming played this map more than any, and with only 2 losses, with their wins being 7-3, 7-4, 7-3, and 7-0, you would expect them to feel incredibly confident here. Not only that, but they did play Clubhouse yesterday as well, which they finished with a 7-3. There is absolutely no denying that this truly is Union Gaming's map. They're going to be kicking things off on the attack, which isn't necessarily their favored side. And that might give MercenarieZ a little bit of an advantage, given that Clubhouse is known to be a slightly defender-sided map. And so maybe they can start to tear things back. Now, Derry's going to be really happy because this looks like it's his favorite kind of defensive setup. Yeah, he's over on the other side of the room clapping to himself.
What kind of defensive setup is it?
Oh, only
paint me a scene, paint me a picture. What is this? It's SSG. It's an SSG hold. It's a full vertical SSG hold. You set the castles up, you make sure you get control of bar, you play around the space. You don't really exclusively play for kills, you play for time, but we've seen these guys, well, they love to kill. So, who knows how this grows.
It's very true. And notice how we have Doctor back in the game.
Yeah.
Hi,
Obviously,
Maker.
it's, yeah, Maker's gone. Doctor's back. The rains over Pakistan were blessed. And gone, actually. And now the sun's here. It's a reference to a song.
I know.
Good.
I got that. The thing is, Maker really found his momentum, especially in those latter rounds of the last game. But we've heard some wonderful things about Doctor. He's one of their star players. So let's wait and see what it is he can do. Straight away, those walls are going to be opened up by Union Gaming. But Doctor isn't far away as he sits up in logistics, just ready and waiting behind a few of those angles.
Waiting to see if they can catch anybody under the door, and this is a quick base clear from EX7. Hot droned in and hot hatch down. And there goes Doctor. Unfortunately, we don't quite get the full taste of what he can do as he's no longer in. And neither is Ninja Freak. There you go. Took the third try, Sparko. You got there in the end. And now you just have to try and capitalize and collapse down upon them. But EX7 is going to demonstrate how you fall from one floor to another. There goes one more body, but Hasib finds Jittery back and at least stems the flow. There's a Sphere off the board is going to limit some of what they can do. But at this point, when you've already capitalized upon the entire corpse of what that SSG hold was attempting, well, there's a huge amount left to do here.
As those goo mines ready and waiting underneath the hatch for when Union Gaming do decide to drop down as EX7 starts opening up the kitchen floor. It's going to allow them to apply a lot of vertical pressure, and with just 2 members remaining here of MercenarieZ, they're really going to be feeling the heat. Question is, are they going to be able to deal with it? Goes another goo mine, trying to deny kitchen from below because there's really not much they can do from above after all those other players got taken down. The droning in is going to give all of the information that Union Gaming need, but it's actually going to be Sparko who's next taken down by Hasib, who actually gets a 2K, EX7 being another one of his victims.
Well, now it's a 2 versus 2. Hasib has done a huge amount to be able to pull this back into the favor of a team that was instantly swamped and swarmed by the attackers. And 2 more left on the board, though. They've doubled themselves down on the blue hold. It looks like Beat's going to try and apply the pressure against the castle wall here, but we did just hear a hatch blow, I believe, above blue. They're trying a split push and a bit of pressure. No, it's Poseidon on long. He's trying to find the entrance towards pipes. The Legion Mine's going to give the game away. And as a man desperately tries to beat his way through a castle door, well, this is a 15-second left situation. Hibana's going to pop open the wall. They're going to heavily rotate. The diffuser's in dirt, so they're going to have to try and apply some cover here. Doesn't see the man behind the big blue utility. Instead, swings onto the Legion and gets caught by the crossfire. Only 5 seconds left. He's going to go for kills instead, and unfortunately, just has to watch the round disappear from what seemed like a guaranteed opener for them.
Yeah, it was a very aggressive push in from Union Gaming, and one of the things that I was thinking is this is a team who they themselves really enjoy using an SSG-style defensive roam. They know very much how to go up against it, and we saw a lot of that aggression come out yesterday when they were playing in their semi-final game. But when it really came to it, once they got rid of those roamers, it was the players still remaining on the site who were providing such an issue for them to be able to push on down. Kitchen was basically denied, and you had to rely on your Hibana to try and get open the church wall, but with no pressure being able to be applied onto blue, you had that crossfire that could be set up there by the defenders because they never got pushed out of utility. That is a good start there for Mercenaries, especially as this is on their opponent's map, and not just their map choice, but the map that they feel the most comfortable on, judging by their results so far. They're going to be moving on upstairs to CCTV and Cash now for their next defense.
This is a really heavy extension to logistics. Obviously, they've got the shield to swing themselves round on, but the instant of this is where we want to set up makes me to believe they expect a lot of the push to come from that side. They've still got reinforcers left for half the garage, so they have that capabilities, and Taha's going to throw out the Valkyrie cams and get some ideas there from the close server window, but otherwise, well, this seems like they're expecting this secondary push, this secondary style. Doubled with the Clash, who I think and assume is going to play towards this door too. They want to make sure that they keep this construction logistics extension open and under their lock and key.
Making it so difficult for both of the directions that you would want to come through for the attackers to come in.
Question. For 2 teams that were so capable and so confident at using Maverick on the map before, why do they not bring it on Club? They seemingly never do. They didn't really yesterday when it was on the board at all possibilities, and here again, I'm going to see if they actually try to adapt it because, well, it's very good. As an operator here, you'll often see teams when they have 3 hard destruction bring all 3, but in the same breath, a talented Maverick player can burn through the walls, burn through the hatches, and burn through a lot that you need to, whilst also bringing that precious resource of grenades. Here, they don't opt to bring him or play him.
And that's the really big thing there, is those grenades, especially as you do have the Wamai band out, which means you only need to deal with the ADS. But going up against a Clash, it can be huge. Well, going up against the Valkyrie, not so huge in this case, as Taha is taken off the board pretty quickly. Jittery securing Union Gaming the first kill. And straight away, they begin to move in to try and get construction open. There's the first stun onto the Clash, who is very heavily protected, not just by the Vulcan shield, but also those ADS nearby. In the meantime, they can begin to try and get the logistics wall open.
Hasib battles back and finds one more. Jittery, taken by a quick peek and a quick swing with the talented aggression that we've seen Hasib wield before. Now they're a little bit lost for step. Yet again, Union Gaming, they get the opener, but then things start to fall apart for them because of how they've been swung against and aggressively pushed. Cannot get through there, unfortunately, with the lapse in the destruction, so you're just going to have to expend more Kairos and see if you can go from there. Me7, fantastically picked up there by medics on the roam, does get caught by a drone, but playing underneath an area that is so susceptible to damage. I believe still C4 in pocket too. No, actually already expended. So it's just down to cunning gun skill to try and stop the flow inside.
Especially as so much of the utility was just deleted very easily in construction just by Poseidon's gun. The Vulcan Shield and the ADS is not having to use the utility on the side of the attacking team purely through the bullets from the barrels of their gun. That means they won't be available later on in the round, and they didn't get much from the attacking team as a result. But they will get EX7 and actually make that another one as Just Beat is remaining. We've consistently found him as the last player standing here on the side of Union Gaming, but time is running out very, very quickly. It doesn't look like there's really all that much he can do, and that means Mercenaries take their second round here on Union Gaming's map.
It just seems like Union haven't really got the ideas and the concepts of how to shut down these holds by Mercenaries. Everything kind of starts well for them. They aggressively clear the map. They've got the opener twice in a row now, and after EX7 managed to find, I believe, 3 on the first round, they still couldn't make things work when it came time to actually pressure the site, pressure the hold, pressure the hard walls. Hasib is gone 7-0 within the first 2 rounds. This is a man furious with the way things went before. This is a man who's obviously reset his router, and this is a man that wants to make sure this map is theirs.
Definitely has something to prove, I think, given what happened in that last map. But I have to say, so does Doctor. He wasn't able to play yesterday, and so far in these first 2 maps, we haven't seen all that much from him. Currently sitting at 0-2, I believe. Still got time to be able to prove himself, but given how much Maker did on that last map, you've really got a big shadow that you have to escape from as you move into this next site.
Yeah, that's the thing there, obviously, because Maker bought a huge amount. He was a consistent battle for Union Gaming to have to try and butt heads with, and again on those defense rounds really almost pulled it back into their favor. Even when there was the team suffering disconnects, he was still able to put up huge numbers every single round that he did. So to go, I need to play this game, I need to play this round, the decision that's obviously come out of the Mercenaries camp. Well, unfortunately, Doctor, all of that pressure now rests on your shoulders. You don't just have to perform to the level they know you can. For all the viewers at home who have just seen a phenomenal standout in the hands of the man you've replaced, due to whatever reason, well, you got to go above and beyond. Here comes some hard destruction, and here comes a Kali.
Definitely what I was looking at there is you spoke about how it's really useful to have the Maverick. You can definitely use them to get rid of mute jammers, which was a problem last time. Not going to be a problem this time, but when you're going up against the bandit batteries and you don't have EMPs on your side, Kali can certainly be used to get rid of them. Not only that, but some of those shields that you often find dotted around the map and provide a threat to the clash.
The IQ is doing all the work they need to. Jesco is very happy, sat at home, because an IQ is using the gadget and not just the G8. The swing comes out aggressively, with the Clash holding down on the side, waiting for the walls to be breached, just going to pull back behind the Goyo, feed the information, meet fire with fire, but assume this to get popped in just a second. It looks like they want to fight the Clash, the Kali, and they're waiting to see if they can get the angle, but with the pings coming continually, they're just a little bit off the beaten path. Uses the gadget well to blow up the Goyo shield from the side, and is now trying to fire through the fire, well, to meet Clash, who is actually just going to pull away.
Yeah, that's the really key thing here, is it does force her backwards, which is going to give more space here to the attackers. Speaking of, EX7 has got an angle in from that south balcony, so you can start to look in towards the site and provide pressure from that way. Clash really is much further away, but MercenarieZ going on a little bit of a roam here.
Doctor is beneath, probably has a C4 in pocket and is waiting for the entrance, but has actually decided, well, this is where the pressure's coming. I'm going to get a little bit closer in case it comes to a bit of a push, and Taha finds himself pressured across construction, and now has gone aggro, gone deep, and swanning to the hatch to keep logistics under their control. The drone whizzes straight past. They might be safe here on the other side of a very dangerous wall. If they can take someone as they go through without the expectation, that could be beyond monumental. It is down to Beat, who may get caught and sprung on, and the drone game doesn't work. They get the first, give the game away, and get a second as an exit frag, but it's suddenly a 2 versus 2 clash. Flinches to the fire coming from the window, but doesn't get caught out because of the slew of kills that happened across the rest of the play face. Now, EX7 and Jittery, diffuser in hand, go and get global kills against Hasib. had the gun on his hip and still managed to make it work. But the Clash spins onto one, almost spins onto the second. Jittery just around the precipice of a clash.
And he was playing so patiently as well, even while those slew of kills were coming through from both sides. Jittery was still holding on to the same angle through the same window, just waiting for that player to get there. The fact that Clash got that kill right at the end as well really took me by surprise, because I honestly thought that EX7 would be able to get that. But one of the huge mistakes that was made there by Union Gaming, even though they were able to clinch that right at the end, is sending the guy carrying the diffuser through the hole first. You don't want that to happen. Yes, they thought they'd droned out logistics, even though they'd missed the Jaeger there. But straight away when it got taken down, you suddenly have the diffuser lost in a position that is so hard to retrieve from. I really hope they don't do that again, because at that point, so much pressure was put on the rest of the team to pick up the problems they had then made for themselves and carry it forward.
Misdroning. Such a big problem that we've seen happen throughout all of this tournament, throughout all the regions. And obviously one of the things that we talked about throughout all of this is we're in a situation of firsts here. This is the first time these guys have been on this stage, and a stage so grand. So those little mistakes that they might not happen every single time, they unfortunately happen here, because there's a huge amount of pressure on the shoulders. In the same breath and in the same way, you've got to think, well, little mistakes, can you catch it? Have you messed this up? Uh-oh, you're playing a game here, Hasib, and you've just thrown it a bit wrong. Oh no, and Medics, the ever watchful eyes, whose favorite pastime is catching the shame of players, unfortunately just caught yours.
You know, it happens.
It happens.
You gotta move on. You gotta move on and just take it in your stride.
The thing is, I bet you Medics is just chuckling to himself evilly as well.
Evilly?
Like, it just came down.
Okay, it wasn't quite it was more like
No, I wish we could get, I don't know if the audio and team, obviously they've been doing these really great highlight reels as well. And I just want that as a sound file. 2-1. MercenarieZ, they've done 2 of the sites, and this is a kind of standard way. If they're aiming and angling towards a 4-2 as things start to head towards the turn of the half, well, I guess from that point onwards, you look and you see if where can this go right for them? Where can Union start to pull some of this back?
Well, they're going to have to try and pull some of it back regardless of what continues to happen. That's going to be a narrowly missed frag grenade there as the hatch does get open and forces Hasib back further into the site. He's just going to take solace behind this shield here, because he knows that when those players move on down, he's got to try and get that wall. Whether or not it's with the Electroclaw, neither of which are in pocket. He may have the C4 still in hand that he can do that with. He does secure a kill onto Beat. That is, if I am correct, means the diffuser has been dropped. Another difficult situation here for Union Gaming, who are going to have to fight so hard to retrieve it.
Beat puts the nice shot in chat again. One of the things worth mentioning about these guys, though, the pressure is high, and though there's a rivalry, there's a lot of love in the region for each other, as obviously you guys in chat have made well aware, and especially on the tweets we've been getting. It's a fantastic showing from all of the fans in APAC South. Thank you very much for showing force for your team's first trip onto this major scene. Now, if we're talking of first trips, unfortunately, this could be, for them, well, less likely to be the first trip to success down on the Church and Armory push. They've already lost their Thermite. They've lost a big core of their hard destruction, limited to just Sparko. And by the looks of the lineup and by the, well, looks of how they've set up, it's a different style. And Doctor, he's in this time round, and he takes a quick double, swinging around long.
All of the defenders still standing with just 2 remaining on the attack. Spark is going to have to jump in down through Moto, but he moves into safety. As I say that, he's deciding to go pretty aggressive, but the question is, how much intel does he have on the positioning of these defenders? He's going to miss those shots, and that means he's going to be going down, leaving just Poseidon. No diffuser anywhere nearby, and just about 10 seconds remaining. He's got to go up against all 5 players. Getting caught in a crossfire, he gets one, but it's not enough, and MercenarieZ secure themselves yet another round.
I would say the most solid round we've seen from MercenarieZ so far. Otherwise, and before this, it's been a little bit hit and miss. There's been very tough moments where they haven't quite been able to lock it off with the same consistency and the same brutality that they've managed previously. Here, well, that was their best church, and that was their best hold, full stop. Everything sort of worked for them. It wasn't reliant upon these very aggressive swings against each other, butting heads and battling back and forth. It was, hey, the strategy's working. We've got the opener from a nice shot, and then we've been able to pull everything after that.
Well, hope is not lost here for Union just yet, and obviously things can swing back in their favor, but it's been looking pretty difficult for them so far as they start things off on the attack. Now, one thing that we have noted is they have been traditionally a better defensive team, so obviously things could go a little bit differently at the turn of the half. But right now, things are looking very, very good for MercenarieZ as they continue on. Last time we came to CCTV, this was a round that they secured for themselves. And they're playing a little bit differently here. Obviously, once again, decided to bring the clash, but instead of Doctor being here on the Bandit, it's going to be Me7.
Yeah, Doctor, obviously, they were able to start to show up in the last round, getting 50% of their kills throughout, well, 4 of the rounds so far. And I think they're trying to adapt into a team that had already started to come on. It's like when you're in this substitute position. Sure, you can come onto the pitch with a couple of fresh ideas and you can say, this is what the coach wants us to do, let's try and do it. But also, you've got to try and match pace with a game that's already in progress, a game that's already found some of its heat and its fire. It's not like you're a super sub coming on at the 80th minute to score the winner. No, you're early. You're 20 minutes in. The game is just heating up, but these are players still with fresh legs and a huge slew of energy. Now it's a matter of how much further we can go and where we can get there.
Well, time to see how Union Gaming are going to be approaching this attack as they straight away start out by opening up that jacuzzi wall and sending EX7 in. Obviously, there is this similar positioning of the Clash 2 last time, as Ninja Freak is based just in the doorway of Cash there, but Me7 is roaming around downstairs like we have seen before. Once again, that does mean there is the risk of the C4 that we could see later on, or just holding onto those angles that could unexpectedly catch out some of the members of the attack.
Only still 2 hard destruction on the board, and Maverick is not one of them. Again, I'm curious about this decision. It's one of the ones where you go, well, why not? What's the reasoning? Because it's not that they aren't comfortable playing with him. They've demonstrated they are. They put their best fraggers on Maverick, their best players. Previously were playing the role, and now nothing. And you just think, well, is it the reliance upon the gadget on this? Is it that the stress of you have to perform with it becomes much hotter, much heavier? Well, unfortunately, they can't rely on Carly, as she's blown up from beneath. Me7 catches the second on the reverse vertical there, takes them from beneath, and is able to disappear into the Aether below.
Yeah, completely taken out there, and once again, we're still finding the strength here of MercenarieZ. Luckily, Jittery is still standing, and when you want to go up against the Clash, it's really the Zephyr you want to be looking towards. But of course, with the sledge gone, that means the risk of the frag grenades is no longer one to be worried about for MercenarieZ. Maybe the risk of some of those gunfires, though, as both Sparko and Jittery secure themselves some kills, evening out that man count. But still, the Clash remains, and that's going to make it so much harder for them to push on through. They are starting to move up, but garage control hasn't been taken, and time is running out. Just Jittery and Beat remaining. Are they going to be able to do it?
Looking for the close corners here on the Clash. If they can pinch her, this could be a big, big boon in terms of allowing them entry. Taha is still free to fire over the shoulder, though, and the MPX might be a pea shooter, but it can be very good in the right hands, and Taha's hands are very solid. Popping in and looking for the close server fight, but they don't quite win it. Doctor is able to get one more, puts it in a 3 versus no one. As he finds yet another kill, we had a little bit of a question mark over the Doctor as he came into this game. How can you fill the shoes of a man like Maker? Well, apparently you do things like that.
He just needed some time to warm up, and now he's really showing his true colors. And it's working out exceptionally well for his team. We can tell why they were upset yesterday when he ended up dropping out. If he's going to keep showing up like this, and we expect great things from this team. Now, heading back to Gym and Bedroom, this is the only site so far that Union Gaming have been able to win on their attack. If they take it again, that's 4-2 at the half, and that's really not that bad. If you're an attacking team taking 2 rounds like that, all right, we can live with that. If it's 5-1, that makes things a little bit more difficult, though, because it puts a lot more pressure on you as you move into your defensive side. Nonetheless, it's still time for them to see if they can prove themselves once more. We did see a lot of aggression and maybe a few missteps come out from Union Gaming before. Notably, when they tried to drone in through logistics, there was a Jaeger just sitting out in the corner. They totally missed him. Send in your Heartbreach, carrying the diffuser in there first. He gets gunned down. Suddenly, you've lost that. If it wasn't for a really sneaky, cheeky shot by Jittery at the end, that round would not have gone to Union Gaming, and they cannot afford to be in a situation like that again.
And this tweet on your screen is perfectly mirroring the point I was about to make. Hasib, 9-2-2. He's even using the castle shotgun now to open up some holes. He's playing that utility role well, and even in and amongst this, you think, what could have happened on that first map if he had some internet stability? Where could they have been in a situation coming into a clubhouse? Could they have been one map up? They were on the up and up. But obviously it's what ifs, and Hasib doesn't like to play what ifs. He's going to play the game of, I will show you what happens when I'm here. We are taking this next map, and I am taking as many bodies down as possible. An outstanding opening for this first half for a man where we finally get to see him get a full stretch of legs.
Yeah, and opening up the gym wall will make it harder for Union Gaming to be able to achieve what they did at the end of this, or end of the round when they last came to this site. No one yet really looking towards the jacuzzi wall, as Union Gaming still focus over here on the east side of the map, looking to move on through. You do have Poseidon on the Kali, he's trying to provide some support. You know that the Clash is going to be someone you have to deal with. The electrified wall makes it much harder, but you want to save those lances to be going against that shield.
Well, Sparko decides to just swing in and get the double kill. They had all the distraction from the hole that was going over the top between CCTV and Cash, and they decided, well, we've got construction. Let's just push round the back. Let's take the Clash from behind, get the second kill onto Me7 as well, and that is such a big opener for Union Gaming, a team that has seemed a bit passive, a bit worried about being aggressive, living in their best play style. Here finally finds a bit. And the big problem, as quickly highlighted there, is Taha. We've seen Union Gaming be in this position before. We've seen them have confidence in this position before. We've seen them miss drone, miss players, and misplay before. Let's hope for their sake they don't make the same mistake again.
1 versus 1 going in through the window doesn't work out in Hasib's favor, but interestingly, we noticed the positioning be taken there in Stash, but it wasn't enough. Flawless round there for Union Gaming. They couldn't trick, or rather Mercenaries couldn't trick Union Gaming into making the same mistakes as before as they slightly changed the positioning. And this is a nice show of confidence, of decisiveness that I think Union Gaming really needed after a struggling half moving into the next.
Church and Arsenal will be the first hold, as it was just before. Now, obviously, we'll get to see a bit of a demonstration of what can be done by Mercenaries on their attack. And as I clasp my hands together in a little bit of thank and a little bit of satisfaction, Hasib is bringing Maverick. Again, for me, it was a big question mark.
I love to see it.
I just don't truly understand why Union didn't want to play him. And I know there's the argument. The most common is that they are uncomfortable with the gadget. They're uncomfortable with the ability. Well, you got to learn at this tier, for one thing, but at the second bit, we've seen you use him a lot and well. And you just think having that bit of aggressive hard destruction, that ability to get in, get aggro, apply pressure the way your roster is very good at Union, could translate to more consistency on your attacks on Clubhouse.
It does, of course, mean that they are holding on to 4 frag grenades.
Yeah.
And they're not even going up against the Jaeger. So there's no ADS on the board. Wamaya's been banned, so there's no magnets. What are Union Gaming going to do to prevent those projectiles coming in and exploding straight into their faces? Of course, they have a couple of their own. They have one C4. There isn't one in the hands of the Mute because he's decided to bring a bulletproof camera instead. Yes, they will be playing this roam game because it's something they really, really like to do is the SSG hold. But there's only so much you can do against a frag grenade. And if you're not protecting yourself, you may just find yourself falling.
I think the full swing into it as well is something that's curious to me. They're obviously going with the 4 impacts. They have the smoke and the castle shotgun if they need to open up even more. Obviously, unfortunately, Mozzie's shotgun was taken out of his hands. But again, it, for me, is the full swing of, well, we want to be up there and we want to keep opening rotations for us actively as the round progresses. You shouldn't really be that dead set on finding bodies here. They pre-fire the wrong angle. The ping comes out. They know someone is close, but they can't quite find it. And, well, rightfully so. Taha isn't going to stick around any longer, but neither are the defenders. The drones are moving out beneath them. They've realized that Goose may well and truly be cooked, and they're going to opt to a different restaurant.
It is a very early rotation down for the defenders, but Union Gaming do have to kind of play it cautiously given how the first half went and how much they want to not mess this up. This is a nice positioning here from Jittery in Freezer because it means that if those attackers start to move into kitchen to open up the hatch and open up the floor, they could find themselves getting caught out if they don't expect him to be here. And with the sledge moving down, this is going to be Doctor. It looks like that's what he's going to be going for, and this could be the time for the Kapkan to strike.
And strike he does with 1 and 2, Jittery! He's coming for you, cooked in the kitchen, and now he's going to dig in behind the oven and wait for the third to come for him. The C4 was misthrown and he's trying to shoot it down, but it's on a bar. And there's Taha to get Jittery, but the C4, well, who cares if it's in the slightly wrong place? For Sparko, it still does what it needs to. Blows him up, and now puts it in a 4 versus 2. A Kapkan caught them out yet again. The little mistake of misdroning has struck. This time for the favor of Union, but it is something that keeps unfortunately happening between these two teams. Me7 handed a free one there, but Poseidon is at least able to get the trade as the last body drops via Moto. Here's the footsteps, gives the game away, gets one with a great swing. The second, he knows roughly where it is, pre-fires a bit short, and gives a bit of a silence of the guns. Isn't going to stick it with 20 seconds. Doesn't have huge options, though. And unfortunately has none left. Poseidon takes Union.
Entirely gave away his position at the end there, but there was only so much the Ninja Freak was going to be able to do. And yeah, you mentioned it before, Fluke. It is a big issue at this point. If you know that your opponent is going to be playing the SSG style roam, or any kind of roam for that matter, you can't afford to not drone thoroughly because you will get caught out in those situations. And when it's something as important as being able to open up the kitchen hatch, open up the kitchen floor, if you're getting caught out in the process of doing that, suddenly you've massively added a detriment to your attack. And that's what we saw at the end there when really Ninja Freak was on his own with barely any information. It was kind of disappointing that EX7 got caught out where he did, that he was just a late reaction and Me7 was able to get that shot in, but it wasn't enough in the end. And now suddenly we start to see the scoreline begin to even out.
Yeah, 4-3, only 1 round in it, and that's 2 rounds in a row for Union now. Obviously the last of their attacks and the first of their defenses. This site where they won the last of their attacks. So I'm curious to see why they've opted to come here instead of go to CC. I think it was something I mentioned yesterday, actually. They seem to have a preference for Jim over the more traditional CC, but at the same time, if you're trying to take the teams by surprise, these guys, yet again, know how each other plays much better than we do because they've grown up in a region together for a very long period of time. There is the man striking, swings on 1. You can see him just getting off the drone there. The call came out instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly.
And again, it was a really good example of Jittery playing really patiently. It's not the first time that we've actually seen him do that. We saw it earlier on when he was on the IQ, holding on to that key angle when they took their first gym bedroom attack on this map. Once again, he's not being too keen. He's not being, you know, jumping the gun. and trying to take opportunities that we see a number of the players, especially in this region so far, do. They can be very overly opportunistic, but Jittery has a patience about him that keeps paying off. Whether or not that's going to continue to happen into this site is yet to be seen, as still all 10 members remain, and Mercenaries just begin on their attack.
Bullet holes, name of the game, and they're waiting to see if anybody gets a bit brave around those cars and vans in the middle, but no catches just yet. This aggressive play and control of the space, obviously we can only talk for so long about what EX7 has done, and then he's just going to keep doing it anyway, so we'll get live demonstrations for those of you that are somehow just tuning in. They have the wall open, the multi-step process, the many-tiered cake that the Clubhouse take is for this second story has begun to be digested by Mercenaries. Maverick is doing his best as he tries to burn through, but at the same time, so's Jittery and Sparko. One apiece, and that's going to make the entrance here for Ninja Freak a much scarier one.
Really difficult here for the attackers. If the defenders still hold on to the east side of the map, it means they won't have control over that key window in server that can be so crucial in being able to prevent any angles taken in from the south side of the site. Jacuzzi wall being worked on by Hasi, but you have to bear in mind that you still have that Kaid present in bathroom, and he will have a C4 in hand, ready to throw it out the second it looks like someone's going to be pushing in. This is a really interesting roam here that's happening from Jittery. Once again, one of those players that we mentioned earlier on. He's going wide and he's going quiet, and he's going to come up on a flank to try and catch out those attackers over towards the CCTV area.
Peppering bullets around and around, but unfortunately there is nothing but ground. 40 seconds on the board. They've got to see if they can try and find some closure there. But Jittery still roaming on the second story. Finally shut down, but not before he gets the thermite. Just for one, for his own kind of measure. And you've only got the IQ and the Maverick left. Maverick, who has struggled so far to find any use of the actual gadgetry. The art on the jacuzzi wall wasn't the best, but it maybe takes just a bit of warming up. As does apparently their push here. The 2 versus 0 Union Gaming bring us back to level pegging.
And I said at the start that Union Gaming have been known as a bit more of a defender team. They did look weaker on the attack, despite the fact that this is very much their map, but this is where they're going to start bringing themselves back, and we can see that in the scoreline. We said 4-2 at the half, not too bad. They can start to bring that back, and suddenly it's going to be Mercenaries who have to be concerned if they can't keep up with this swift defense that is coming out from Union. They lost their own map.
Yeah, it's obviously not the way you want to start the day. And I guess it's the decisions of, okay, if we're going to look towards whether we're attacking favorite and defender favorite, the way you approach the maps and the way you approach them in the pool, even if it is your favorite map, are you picking it purely because you had an amazing day yesterday? Or has the amazing day yesterday kind of rose-tinted it? Got you locked onto the idea of we are unbeatable here, but at the same time, we've just provided our enemies, our rivals, with a fresh VOD of our plays.
I mean, this is where the risk of the decision came in, because obviously Union Gaming hadn't played Theme Park, so they didn't necessarily know what to expect, and maybe you're just throwing in your chances and saying, let's take the risk and assume that they don't know this map very well. And actually, they've been secretly preparing it almost as bait to try and lure them into picking it, and it actually worked out in Union's favor. And if Union keep playing their defense as they have been so far on the first couple of rounds, then they could find the Clubhouse also works out in their favor.
Union love a good C4, don't they?
You know what? I love a cheeky C4. I love 4 cheeky C4s.
Yeah, and you know what they also love? Pulse. He's back on the board. He's back in the hands of EX7. C4-2, and obviously he did so many horrific things with this operator yesterday, and there's a kind of filthy part of me that's like, I want to see a little bit more, EX7. Show me those pulse maneuvers you're able to pull off yesterday, your jump outs, your twirls, your spins, and just shooting people in the face. Because, as I said, and as we've seen, he's a player that grows in confidence. Every time he gets one of those, the bar fills a little bit more and more, and then he pulls off these insane finishing moves that just completely fatality an entire team.
Nice reference there. Whether or not Mercenaries will be able to deal with all of these incoming C4s is something else. You might find that EX7's positioning is given away, and that is what happens. I was going to say with Me7 on the IQ, it's going to be even riskier, but now he doesn't even have to worry about focusing on that because EX7 is no longer there. So desperate to play that pulse after he got banned out in the last map, and he won't even get the chance yet. There's the smoke canister coming out to prevent any kind of a push in through the CCTV wall just yet. And once again, that's just going to chew off the time the Mercenaries have to make their attack. Construction wall is going to be getting open, but even so, they have to move swiftly.
Sparko is the one that's decided to fill the space of potentially running out. Maverick's done enough for them to be able to get rid of the electric claw, but from that point onwards, the smoke canister isn't going to be able to prevent the wall getting opened. It is the first part of a multi-step process, and Jittery is getting full aggro to see if he can find an unexpected response, but no bites as of yet. The angle is being held patiently and aggressively, and Jittery is not a fan of that. He's instead going to double down on the opposite side and, oh, wait, B, you just took that kill? Oh, man, I wanted that. All right, got to come back to site now because everything else is happening around construction and logistics. There was only really one body that was on the CCTV side. Otherwise, everyone else had flipped to the opposite. They were going for this logistics construction take. And, well, now that's all they've got. 45 seconds on.
Well, the fact that they have come in through that route means that these defenders can start to move downstairs to go on that extra roam and not really be noticed. But in fact, Sparko's decided he's going to head back upstairs so that he can add more to the team. There's that pre-placed C4 that'll be taken off by Me7, passively protecting his team, and he's also going to be doing so by getting that shot onto Sparko. A 2K there for Mercenaries as Taha goes down in return. It looks like Union Gaming want to get their revenge, but just 2 players left, one of whom is incredibly low. The shotgun doesn't work, and that means that Union Gaming finally managed to get it out despite what happened at the end there.
Yeah, it worked. Kinda. They had a little bit of belief in the English shotgun.
It was sort of that.
It was enough belief to down a man, not enough to kill him. The cover came round, as we've seen, but yet again from both these teams, one of the things I've really loved is the consistency of the trades, the consistency of the shoulder cover. Sure, I commented on the fact that they had one man on the opposite side of CC applying that pressure, but that was more of a hammer and anvil style thing. He was going to sit there, wait, as a bit of pressure applied from the other side might force them into his sight lines, might not. Either way, it's a split push, and, well, that was read by Union. They pushed aggressively, got rid of the anvil, and now it's just a hammer they had to deal with. They dealt with it by shooting him in the face from only a couple of feet away. Unfortunately, as we all know, chat, if you don't believe in the English shotgun,
Do you believe in anything?
I believe in some things.
No, it wasn't a question. It was if you don't believe in the English shotgun,
Oh.
do you believe in anything?
Okay, but I do believe in some things. The English shotgun, one of them.
All right, well, I'm glad to hear that.
M59A01? I don't know.
Didn't you just learn this the other day?
No, Hap was trying to be all smart about it. You know what he's like.
Which means you didn't know.
No, I didn't know.
Right, okay.
Just like, no.
All right. Well, I mean, one of the points that you actually made there that I really want to pick up on is the consistency of the trades. Because when we looked at the scoreboard at the end of that last round, one of the things we noticed is that even though there are a number of these players who have a positive KD right now, it's nowhere near like what we saw yesterday, where it was by far and away 1 million kills and no deaths whatsoever. It's actually much, much closer, and it's such a testament to how much all of these players are putting in and how evenly skilled they are. So whether or not that will continue to happen, we will just have to see how these players keep playing. Dirt Tunnel has been opened as the pressure is going to be beginning to be applied onto blue with the drones going down. That's going to be a ping, and this is a very aggressive move forward, and despite the Goo Mine, it works. Trade coming out. Fluke, this is what we were talking about, and consistently Union Gaming are going to be adding to it as EX7 gets that 2K at the end.
Well, now it's a 2 versus 1 and a 2 versus nothing. They threw all that they could on a rush strategy, and it's a bold idea. Unfortunately, as I said, and as you said, and as we all saw, the trade game. It's a very good game for both these teams. And yes, the first body of Union was completely taken by surprise by the Doctor being pretty heavy-handed in, I am getting in here, I do not care of the proximity mines, I do not care of the danger, I want to kill. Then was killed, and then it became a bit of a battle. And it only took one person to win that eye for an eye and to pull themselves away so then they don't get poked in their own eye. And that man... oh, it's EX7, yet again, showing up in these situations where just that little bit more ability to swing and click heads, that little bit more confidence in his own skills has led to them getting the one step ahead and making sure the whole world did not end up blind. Jim Bedram, match point, 6-4, yet again.
Finding themselves on map point here for Union Gaming is huge because given the fact that these teams have played together before and had such a hard time, given the fact that it went to all 5 maps in the last best of 5, this is huge considering the fact that it could show a bit more dominance. That said, in that last best of 5, it was somewhat of a reverse sweep. 2 maps were taken at the start by Union Gaming, and then it turned around and 2 maps were taken by Mercenaries. So it could be something very similar that we see.
And there was only 2 rounds in it as well. The third map went to 6.
All the way.
Yeah, it was 6-8. It was every full stretch that you could want it to be. OT is the tightest, as we all know, and being there on your potential of taking the entire tournament and then losing the next 2 maps, well, that's devastating.
So it's still too early to say, but what we do know is that Union Gaming have looked particularly strong. And given that this is on a bigger stage than either of these teams have ever played before, Mercenaries will be wanting to claw and scrape their way back into the loving arms of a potential victory. Jim Bedram, as we say, Union Gaming won their defense last time they came here back in round number 8. And there's going to be that Vulcan shield going up, which is going to apply pressure to Jittery and force him to rotate out of his position as Mercenaries begin to move in through the east side of the map.
They have angles held, a pretty consistent part of their ideas here, but so far, obviously, well, those haven't really come to fruition. It was quick closes, quick swings on each other that were able to pull this out of the favor. What I like is the intense pressure that's being applied onto Jacuzzi. They didn't really have the biggest focus here last time. It was more on the opposite side, and it was before anything really started to cook that everything came to the boil, and now it's just a matter of, well, how can we change? What can we adapt? Because we're on death's door. We've been here before and we almost pulled it back. We're not making the same mistake as Sparko goes off to Taha. Half health, but with Jittery also exceptionally low, well, that's not the end of the world.
Great start here for Mercenaries, who desperately need this round, but as I say that, Taha will be taken off the board. Jittery, such low health, but still playing ever patiently as he positions himself in the gym, ready just in case anybody comes in through that balcony. That's where we see Hasib being positioned, but he's going to be taken down as Jittery no longer able to provide that pressure, and that will give more space to Mercenaries that they desperately need. Seeing these players move into the position that has now been allocated to them after Jittery's demise, and this could be the start of a pretty successful push.
Waiting behind the soft that's still in peace. If they can catch them by surprise here, this could be a very big take because it opens up a lot of freedom. Fires Drew, Poseidon takes care of Ninja Freak, who unfortunately hasn't really been able to stick themselves into this game. Maverick goes down as well. Hasib, who again had a fantastic opener, hasn't locked it, but Doctor on the rotation up the red stairs gets 1 more for his tally. Me7 as well, another player who's just been so consistent and so fantastic, puts the pressure on and puts us back within only a round.
Doctor, who turned around and said, I don't care that the diffuser's been dropped on the balcony, I don't care that the Maverick went down in a position he shouldn't have, I am going to play aggressively and I am going to show these defenders that we're still in this game. Once again, Union Gaming finding themselves in a position where, despite being on map point, they're not going to be handed a victory oh so easily, and Mercenaries are going to show exactly what kind of competition they could be. Just 1 more round needs to be taken to force themselves into overtime, but if it does go to Union Gaming, that will be the 2nd map on the board for them. Choosing to come back to the same site which they just lost to Mercenaries. Jim Bedram 2.0, this time with a pulse.
Hey, it's a surprise pick. It's a player and an operator that works very, very well together. We haven't seen it work as well as yesterday, but this is a different tier of opponent. This is a different tier of enemy. And obviously, this is your current champions you're trying to push off. You're one map above, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you can play the same tricks that you're able to make look so easy. And I think that's reflected in, obviously, the kills that we see across the board. Nobody is having those 2.0 days that they're able to when at least 3 of these operators were, well, in that same unfortunate situation. I guess now, with 1 round off, this is very familiar territory for both these teams. This only happened just, a little thing called the last map, and a disconnect made it swing into a 7-5, you could say. We don't have that to say this time.
Thankfully. Both of these teams on much more equal footing, and despite that fact, Mercenaries have struggled somewhat on this half. That last round, of course, being the only one that they've been able to take on their attack so far. And here they have another chance. Now, one of the things on that last round is they were able to get that kill onto Jittery, secure themselves the space onto the south balcony that they really needed. But it seemed that, I think it's fair to say, Hasib got a little bit distracted as he got caught out on that angle, dropping the diffuser on the balcony, and therefore not really being able to apply the pressure that they would have wanted. If they can clear that up and ensure that that isn't a problem this time, maybe Mercenaries have what it takes to once again take Gym Bedroom.
Well, with the wall being cracked open, they've started the process. Maverick is on the opposite side. He's going to burn the middle and seeing if he can get control of the Kaid claw from an angle before he makes it dangerous. Well, unfortunately for him, he doesn't quite get the catch, and EX7 catches his first, Taha. And I say first because it is highly expected for him to find more than one. When he opens with a kill, usually it's quickly followed by the second, like a pair of shoes falling from the sky.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy there, and not such a good frag grenade as it doesn't actually secure anything, but it does mean that there is that security that you require to be able to get the jacuzzi wall open, knowing that the Kaid wasn't going to be throwing anything in.
Playing around deep, around strip, seeing if they can obviously just get that aggression, get that run out. As we've pointed out from a few of the operators, they have that history, but at the same time, so do a lot of the players. Sparko has occasionally had these moments. It's only really beaten Poseidon that have consistently buried themselves inside the site to anchor. All Sparko, EX7 and Jittery have done is, well, if they need to rotate, if they need to go aggro and go big and bold somewhere else, they pretty commonly will. Maverick has obviously hopped over towards the CC side to try and apply some pressure too, with the team that is desperately wants this Goyo shield blown up. And there's a lot of faith put in all the ADSs that are around it. The drone gets dropped, they have the angle on the Maverick hold, the only place they'll be able to get from now, but with the pressure coming from the window and that frag grenade getting through, well, you can't hold that territory any longer.
Once again, that's going to cause Jittery to be downed and finally killed as he was distracted by that. No ADS to protect him and nothing to stop him from panicking. That means this defense has been weakened here as you no longer have the Jaeger holding on. But Sparko still holding on to this hallway up here. That's going to make it so much harder for Ninja Freak to move in through the jacuzzi wall. Just 15 seconds to go as you hear the game calling out. Mercenaries are going to get themselves a couple of kills. If they can push in and be aggressive, maybe this can work. They start with the plant, but it gets denied. 3 seconds remaining. Beat does go down, but it's a 1 versus 1, and Union Gaming secure it for themselves. That's going to be map number 2 going to them, and that means that Mercenaries have one more chance to keep this best of 5 in play before Union Gaming can take it for themselves.
Another 7-5, another almost overtime and another almost all the way, but both of them have gone to the favor of Union Gaming. Though it may say on the top there